Masicka is the person, that's why we say genocide. We stay by ourselves and we work. You understand? You don't see we out, we don't look friend from nobody at all. You get what me I say, you know, see we big up everybody in the music industry and we respect every artist, but we not run behind nobody. We not have a leader, we don't need nobody to call me up on a show. You understand? Me I do my thing. And that's the thing when you run behind people and you understand, you try to seek hype out of every little thing, you end up get them thing there, because you try to rush the thing.
Let me be, which camera am I looking at?
Anyone,
which one I camera?
that,
Zoom it up in my eye. Let me be
this
clear.
One here.
Nobody in a dance hall is not worthy of a response from Vybz Kartel. For where the brother got you in life,
yes.
Mother don't go sit down and go. Respond to me. Me as a zombie want to chat to me.
So I want to know is, as to what Sean Storm said, no one, you know, is worthy enough to for a response from Vybz Kartel. Do you guys agree with that? Because obviously, Irish and Chin, you know, he have his program over there on Instagram, right? And he's not sharing the same sentiment as Sean Storm. You know, matter of fact, some of the things that I've been saying, I heard Irish and Chin is echoing the same sentiment, and I'm like, why? I don't know since when dance I get like this, but you know, it is what it is. Vybz Kartel, you know, he just came out of prison. Was that like a year ago, right? And we see Masicka, you know, is calling out Vybz Kartel right now. So people are saying Vybz Kartel don't need to respond because him no want to go back there and, you know, him this and him that and a bag of things, you know what I mean? But I bet if it was any other artist than Vybz Kartel, that narrative would be totally different, all right? But anyway, Irish and Chin, he did his usual program. They was talking about a clash, you know, so I want to share those clippings with you guys. And I want y'all to tell me, you know, does Irish and Chin, is he making any sense here? Or Masicka, you know, shooting off of Vybz Kartel right now is just Masicka, you know, people are saying he's ungrateful, he's a snake, you know. It's a bag of things that I call out Masicka for right now because Masicka gone off Vybz Kartel, you know what I mean? So Tamale finally drop a song, you know, I'm gonna have to do a video on that, listen to that song and do a video on that, let you guys know what I think about it. But right now, you know, the tension in dancehall is really high, you know, coming around this time, December, January, you know, that's kind of like the war season, you know. So we see artists them run out left, right, and center and drop diss tracks. But the main focus is Tamale, Masicka, and Vybz Kartel, you know what I mean? Because Tamale said he fighting, you know, if it wasn't for Masicka calling out or dissing the elder, Tamale wouldn't be responding to Masicka. So Masicka respond to Tamale and, you know, call out Vybz Kartel same way. So, you know, it's why, I don't know. But I think Irish and Chin was making some good points, some valid points. But at the end of the day, it's still up to Vybz Kartel if he's going to respond, like I said, or if Vybz Kartel is going to just keep quiet. And like I said, this too shall pass. I don't know. We have to wait and see. But Irish and Chin was making a lot of valid points. So with that said, let's check out one of the clippings where Irish and Chin was talking about a clash. Tamale versus Masicka and Vybz Kartel being mentioned.
I don't know what the outcome of a Masicka versus Kartel would be. Kartel clashing with Masicka is dangerous for Kartel. One artist hungry for proof that he's the best. The other artist has acknowledged already that he's the best. And he's relaxing saying, I am the best. And I'll go on record by saying this, and I think some people will be pissed off about it, right? I don't know what the outcome of a Masicka versus Kartel would be, you know, if it would ever even happen. Because one, I think that Kartel is in a different space, and Kartel's space that he's in will shelter him from ever making that a reality. Because Kartel has way too much to lose as far as core credibility if he loses a clash to Masicka. If Masicka clashes Kartel and Kartel defeats him, well, it's going to be, well, we never thought that you could beat Kartel anyway.
Right, so Masicka don't lose nothing.
Right? But if Kartel loses to Masicka, it further separates him from the core, right? Now, I think Kartel knows that. And I believe that all of us who are campaigning for Kartel to clash Masicka, we're thinking about the Kartel that we used to know clashing Masicka, and not the Kartel that exists today clashing Masicka. Right? And let me say that again. Everyone who's campaigning for this clash and your Masicka is going to be in problems because Kartel are the boss and this and that, right? We are still thinking of the Kartel in his heydays. That's the Kartel that we're thinking is going to face Masicka. But that's not the Kartel that's going to face Masicka. The Kartel that's going to face Masicka is today's Kartel. And today's Kartel has not proven since he's come out of prison that he's still equivalent to yesterday's Kartel. Let me say it again. Today's Kartel has not proven that he still has the equivalent of yesterday's Kartel. I'm not taking anything away from Kartel, right? Kartel is one of the greatest to play the game. Kartel and Mavado had a whole generation of people feeding out of their hands because of the clash that they were having in the Gully of Gaza. But that was a different time. If we are to speak the truth, there's so many artists in our culture that dominated the dancehall at one time. They're still alive, but they can't do it now.
Of course.
You have artists right now who are major artists with major catalogs, and they're struggling to find a hit song that resonates with this audience today. So those of you who feel like it would be an easy walkover for Vybz Kartel going up against Masicka, who resonates with this audience, right? Who is at the peak of his career, versus Kartel, who has already climbed to the peak of his career, and he's relaxed and enjoying the fruits of his labor. That's two different energies. Compare this. One artist wants to prove by all means that he is the best in this time. Not of all times, but in this time. Because I'm sure when Masicka is calling himself the greatest of all times, he's basically meaning the greatest in this time. Because he can't crazy say that he's the greatest of all times. Right? The greatest in this time, right, is what he's saying. Right? He wants to prove that. And then you have Kartel, who is relaxed, saying that he's already proven and he ain't got nothing else to prove. Guys, it's a clash where anything can go on. And if Kartel loses, I wouldn't be surprised.
Right.
If Kartel wins, I wouldn't be surprised. If you understand what I'm saying. You know what? I would be more surprised if Kartel wins. Not because Kartel is not good, but because Kartel is not there right now. That's not his objective now. When he was clashing with Mavado, he was trying to control the space. He was defending the space. And his right to have claims to the space, that's a different type of hunger. He doesn't have that hunger anymore. Kartel clashing with Masicka is dangerous for Kartel. We're just so caught up into what used to be, and we're so caught up into, nostalgia and brand, the Kartel brand, the this brand, the that brand. We're not realizing that the ability or the hunger may not be there anymore. And that's all I'm saying. So I would not be surprised if they were to clash and Masicka was to win. And it wouldn't be because Masicka is that much of a better artist than Vybz Kartel. It would be because Kartel is not in that space anymore. Does that make sense?
So I want y'all to let me know in the comment section what y'all think about that. As Irish and Chin, he said, a Vybz Kartel responding or clashing Masicka is more detrimental to Vybz Kartel than a Masicka. That means Vybz Kartel have more flows, his status in dancehall and all these things. And I've been saying this, you know what I mean? And maybe that's why Vybz Kartel is not gonna answer Masicka, because I mean, I talk about people saying about people that set up Vybz Kartel for go back behind bars and Ray and all of them things. That have nothing to do with this clash right now. You understand? The lyrical clash have nothing to do with what Vybz Kartel is personal. right? Or personally in his life that sent him behind bars. That have nothing to do with dancehall. Some people might debate and said yes, it had to do with dancehall, but it had nothing to do with Masicka or Vybz Kartel clashing Masicka or Vybz Kartel clashing no artist. You know what I mean? So I think that statement that a lot of people are using is just fuckery. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Fans are gonna say how they feel. They're gonna speak up and they're gonna defend their artists in whichever way they can. So that's understandable. But like I said, Irish and Chin is making some very valid points here. You know what I mean? Now, are we gonna get a response from Vybz Kartel? How people gonna look at Masicka, view Masicka after the clash? All of these things is gonna be looked at after the clash. I don't know when the clash is going to end. Some people said the clash done. Some people said, Masicka not going to respond. Some people saying Tom Lee wasn't going to respond. The clash done. I see Tom Lee just released the song probably like 3 hours ago, right? Brilliant. So I'm going to give you guys an update on that. And if that song is worth Masicka responding, even though I think Masicka should respond. All right? But let's continue because I got another clipping for you guys here. Check this out.
Masicka has pushed Kartel in a corner where the industry is now looking at Kartel to make a decision. Kartel, you gotta answer the youth,
Right,
because hear the thing now. You are the king of the dancer. This is a perfect war strategy. For those of you who are looking at it any different, it's only a win for Masicka. If we were talking about sound clash, this is the custom dub plate that you're saving for the right minute to lock off a sound system, right? This is the trick when you know you're prepared for tune and you trick your opponent in a sound clash to play you in tune for tune. Kartel has to either walk away from this, which ultimately gives Masicka props, or clash Masicka, which ultimately he puts everything on the table, and if Masicka beats him, Masicka holds a different level in the industry than he had before. And let's be honest, Kartel is not running dancehall. Kartel is a figure in dancehall, but he's not running dancehall. That's a total different thing, right? Because if Kartel was running dancehall, you can't run dancehall if you don't have new tune where I come behind each other, right? So let's get that clear. Masicka is among the crop of artists that's running dancehall.
Right now, yeah.
Kartel is not running dancehall. Kartel has a visibility and whatever Kartel is doing. And you guys would never say Sean Paul is running dancehall. Right? But Sean Paul is doing, crazy numbers in streaming. 15 billion plus. Right? Right? You understand? 15 billion plus on Spotify. Billion, not million. But we won't say that he's running dancehall. Right? Well, Kartel is a similar situation in a different way. Kartel is pulling all of these people into these arenas. But we still can't say that Kartel is running the dancehall space. He's not. What Masicka has done is kind of prep this whole thing into, all right, now call the boss name now, right? Now the boss can say one or two things. Yo, look, boy, you're too, you're not there on my level for clash. Bing! He's good. Masicka's good. If Kartel never steps up to the plate, Masicka scores a point without having to engage.
Right.
Right? Because the Gaza fans will then say, well, Kartel too big for Masicka. Masicka figure sit on him, I look a boy, I try jump the line. Yeah. But then you will also have other people who say, yo, Masicka pull Kartel card and Kartel scared for touch the youth. For go against the youth. So in other words, Masicka doesn't fall if Kartel denies him the competition. He just stays in the position that he has already. Right? If Kartel gives him the clash, right, and he stands up to Kartel, right, not even wins.
Him just have to go on good.
If he stands up to Kartel,
he wins.
Right? He wins again. If he beats Kartel.
Now, the next thing people are saying is that, and like I said, Irish and Chin I don't know if they realize it. A lot of people have been saying it, and I think they touched on it, but Kartel really never went up against another lyricist, like himself. You know what I mean? Because when Idonia, and yeah, he said it, right? When Idonia was gunning off for Kartel. Kartel never answered Idonia. He used his status in dancehall, his celebrity, to drown out Idonia, right? And this is something people have been saying, you know what I mean? But when Vado stepped out on this Vybz Kartel decided to challenge Movado. Why? Because Movado wasn't known to be a lyricist. Movado was the melody god, you know what I mean? And Vybz Kartel stepped out and, they had that clash, the whole Gully Gaza thing. And notice Movado, right, defeat Vybz Kartel in that clash, regardless of where the Gaza fans they might want to say. Because Vybz Kartel went against a singer or a Sing J, and the Sing J stood his ground and defend the alliance, and also body and bury Vybz Kartel in that clash, if you ask me, right? But Vybz Kartel, he has the Gaza Nation, supporting him, and they're gonna say different. The next thing, he run from Idonia. He run from most of the people would say Sprague Benz, most of the artists that are very, or well lyrical in a dance art. And no, we saw Masicka, because remember Alkaline, him kind of sidestep Alkaline same way, even though he came out of prison talk about good water and but he wouldn't go in the studio and make a track dissing or calling out Alkaline, even though Alkaline go brawling and say you're not for like me, Annie Palmer, right? That's for next story. And now here we have Masicka, right? Some people say Masicka is not a lyricist, he's just a rhymer and all these things. Fine. But here we have Masicka gunning for Vybz Kartel same way. And it seems like he's going to sidestep Masicka. You know what I mean? So people are saying Vybz Kartel never really challenge a lyricist like himself, he know how to pick his battles. And who for striking. And, I see people saying a bag of things. And I like the fact that Irish and Chin, they're sharing the same sentiment. Mind you, they have a YouTube channel too, but I got these clippings from Instagram, so hopefully this video go out without it being, being affected, by the content that's being reused here, because, this fair use. But I think he's making some very valid points. You know what I mean? That Vybz Kartel never really challenged a lyricist like himself. And people crown him the king of dancehall, and if they want to crown Vybz Kartel the king of dancehall just by his accolades, then we would have to crown other people that surpass Vybz Kartel, such as even a Popcorn. But that's a different story. See, so the clashing aspect have a lot to do with it. And since Vybz Kartel don't want for clash right now, since he came out of prison, right? That's fine. But it's going to go down on Vybz Kartel resume. I'm telling you, years to come, people are going to look back at this and they're going to have a different opinion. You understand? But, I rest my case. I yield right here. But I want you guys to tell me in the comment section what y'all think about this. And does Irish and Chin, is he making sense? Because I think he's making sense. Perfect sense. When it comes to dancehall, this arena, this clash environment, the hardcore side of dancehall. But other than that, Vybz Kartel can go on to make his music, whatever. Just leave out the hardcore side of dancehall right now. And who's the true lyricist? Who's the GOAT when it comes to, this clash culture? Because my artist is still up there. And you notice I'm not even trying to bring my artists them in this conversation. It's about Masicka, Tommy Lee, and Vybz Kartel. All right? So with that said, people, check out this last clipping. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And until the next notification, Wagwood, stay blessed. I'm out.
Right? The game that Kartel is playing, for those of you who want to speak the truth, it's not an unfamiliar game. This is Kartel, right? If you guys can go back in your memory, the game that Kartel is playing now, Kartel played the same game on Idonia. Understand what I'm saying to you, right? Back back in the time when Idonia had the streets locked and he was known as a lyricist, right? And he was going at Kartel. Kartel refused to answer him, and what Kartel did was drowned out Idonia's noise with his celebrity status. He would not confront the youth, right? Because he was saying within himself that me I go engage with this youth and the youth I go bust off of me. That now go work out for me. You think Kartel does not know that the minute that he makes a couple diss records and go back and forth with Masicka, a boss Masicka boss?
Masicka done again.
If Masicka gets the war with Kartel, Kartel creates a monster whether he likes it or not. The likelihood of Kartel coming back into this industry and totally wiping out Masicka is slim to none. Right? So Masicka is going to, if he loses to Kartel, he's gonna put up a good fight. He's gonna make his name somehow or another. Where you have to say to yourself, say, or say to the artist, say, boy, artist, me not tell a lie. Me have to rate you still. You lose the clash, but me have to rate you. Simply of how we rate Mavado, even though Kartel came out on top. We still have to give Mavado his ratings because Mavado was the one who pushed the war to Kartel and made Kartel have to be extra creative in order to defend his space. So the same way, I just want you guys to look at the history. Take two people in the conversation. Look at Idonia, look at Mavado, right? And then look at how Masicka has positioned himself, right? Kartel is playing the same game he played before. Me now get them man and knowings, them man and on my level, right? Same thing with Idonia, right? Even though Idonia, every chance Idonia got, he was dissing Kartel.
Oh yeah.
Trying to pull Kartel out, and Kartel ignored it. This is not anything new for Kartel. Masicka is now the new Idonia. Same game being played, just different year, different artists, right? And then finally, Kartel just kept doing what he was doing and got so big and so celebrity that, you know, the industry was like, come on, Donia, done with that. We don't want to hear that no more. Kartel in the business boy. And that whole thing went away, right? I suspect that two things can happen. Either Kartel is going to just take the same approach and let it die down and use his celebrity, right, to drown out Masicka, or he may engage in one or two diss tracks, but he's not going to go into an all-out war. So to balance the core, because remember, even though Kartel is doing these stadiums, you know, Kartel's praise comes from the core, right? He has a Gaza nation of core people that he has to keep fueling, right? So it's possible that he will drop a one song or drop a two song, right? But he's not going to go into an all-out engage war with Masicka, because in Kartel's mind, Kartel knows that Masicka is going to excel. Masicka is, if Masicka engages in a war with Kartel, Masicka the man, right? I don't care what nobody says. Masicka made